What happens when you have everything you've ever wanted and still feel empty? In this story, we follow a man who achieved financial success, built a comfortable life, and earned more than most could imagine. Yet despite all his wealth, a quiet sense of lack lingers. Through his daily routines, quiet reflections, and the invisible pressures of modern life, I am unspoken finance. We explore a truth most people never talk about. Having money doesn't always bring peace. Most important, money doesn't fail people. Unspoken decisions do. Unspoken finance tells calm, real-life stories about money, behavior, and the quiet consequences we rarely talk about. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more finance storytelling, and hit the bell so you never miss an emotional money story. He had a house filled with furniture he barely noticed. The kitchen gleamed under recessed lights, every appliance the kind of thing magazines told you to want. Yet, each evening, as he sat alone at the dining table, a quiet unease crept in, threading through the silence. He had enough money to pay the bills, enough to buy anything he wanted, yet somehow he felt small, poor. Not in the way you'd think. There were no overdue notices or calls from debt collectors, but poor in a way that left a weight behind his eyes, an invisible debt he couldn't settle. Why does someone with more than enough feel like less? Why does wealth sometimes arrive, fully formed, only to leave the soul hollow? These are the questions we rarely ask. We measure money in numbers, in bank balances, in tax returns. But rarely do we measure it against what it takes to feel whole. He wakes up early, as he always has, but not because he needs to. The work he does now could be optional, yet he moves through the day with the same careful rhythm, pouring coffee, checking emails, answering messages that could wait. There is a quiet tension in the way he scans his calendar, a subtle pressure that whispers, "You're not enough yet. Never enough." And when the day ends, he sits back and counts. Not money, but opportunities missed, small indulgences denied, the invisible ledger of his own dissatisfaction. This feeling isn't unique. It's a quiet epidemic that spreads through corridors of office towers, hums beneath the hum of servers, and drifts along suburban streets. People who earn, people who save, people who invest, many of them carry an invisible ledger alongside their actual one, a measure that no number on a screen can satisfy. Historically, wealth has always been relative. In older societies, riches were not measured solely by gold or land, but by standing, by influence, by the eyes of the community. Even when industrialization and banking systems gave people access to money in ways never before possible, the psychological frameworks remained unchanged. The mind adjusts. What once felt luxurious becomes ordinary. The markers of success shift as quickly as the markets themselves. Today, the system is subtler. Banks, credit, social media, marketing, each acts as a quiet conductor in the symphony of our dissatisfaction. We are shown what is possible just out of reach. Accounts that seem abundant next to some, suddenly small next to others. Every promotion, every purchase, every digital update recalibrates the mind's measuring stick. Wealth becomes not a state, but a moving target. He understands this on some level. He knows, in the abstract, that he is materially secure. Yet when the bills are paid and the investments tracked, there is a quiet whisper, not enough. And it is not coming from the world. It is coming from inside, a voice sculpted by habits, expectations, and comparisons. The more he acquires, the more he notices the gaps. The more he notices the gaps, the smaller he feels. This is the hidden cost of abundance, a subtle, creeping erosion of contentment, paid not in money, but in the hours of quiet dissatisfaction. Who benefits from this invisible pressure? The system, of course, does. When dissatisfaction thrives, so does consumption. New gadgets, upgraded cars, lifestyle enhancements, they are not just options, but tools in a quiet architecture that reshapes desires faster than we can notice. But the cost is human. It is the anxiety that lingers under polished surfaces, the sleepless nights where the mind audits itself more harshly than any accountant ever could. The cost is subtle. Identity eroded by accumulation, joy diminished by comparison, freedom shadowed by invisible debt. The unspoken truth, the one that most never articulate, is that money is never just money. It is a mirror, reflecting our insecurities back at us, sometimes magnified. Enough is never static. Security, once achieved, often dissolves into a new form of scarcity. Scarcity of satisfaction, of inner peace, of quiet certainty. The more one earns, the sharper the awareness of what remains missing. And the irony is that the ledger of wealth may be full, but the ledger of contentment is often empty. In his apartment, as evening falls and the city hums beyond the glass, he sits by the window with nothing in his hands. No papers, no phone, no obligations. And in that stillness, he feels the dissonance clearly. Abundance, and yet a quiet poverty that no amount of money can fill. There is no advice here, no formula to bridge the gap. Just the realization that financial security, however complete, is not immunity from the human condition. That what we earn does not always reconcile with what we feel. And so he watches the city lights flicker, each one a small, trembling promise. Each one, like him, standing in quiet contrast to a hunger it cannot name. It is a hunger that lives not in bank statements, but in the human heart. And in that quiet space, he realizes something unsettling, yet undeniable. He has enough money to never want, and yet he carries a poverty of his own making. And perhaps that is the most honest wealth we can ever recognize, a truth too often left unspoken.